Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are on lesson 6 of module 2. It's very similar to lesson 5, where we're going to be adding and subtracting fractions. So here is mine. And before I get started, I'm going to remind myself of the steps we're going to be using. So I'm going to set up my problem vertically. I'm going to use a strategy to make common denominators. I'm going to add or subtract, and then make proper fractions. So if my fraction is greater than 1, I'm going to make it a less than 1 fraction. And if I know how, I'm going to simplify. Okay, so here's my first problem. 13/12 take away 2/3. Okay, so what is this actually saying? The 12 means that I had a whole that was cut into 12 pieces. So let me cut that into 12 pieces. And this says I have 13 of them. So if I color in all of these, that's going to give me 12. So it means I need to make another one. And again, I'm going to cut it into 12 pieces. And I have one more. So I have a total of 13/12. But this is where it gets weird. They want me to subtract or take away 2/3. So they want me to subtract 2/3. This is what they want me to take away. So they don't want me just to take away 2 pieces. They want me to take away this much, 2 out of 3. So I need to make them the same size so I know how many pieces to really take away from here. So, and I can do that because if you had seen when I originally drew these, I drew them this big and then I'd cut them. So I can do the same with that. I can cut these like into pieces like that. So they really want me to take away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these pieces. That's what they want me to take away. So they want me to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's how many of these pieces they wanted taken away. So what do I have left? I have left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. So I have 5 pieces left that are out of 12. So I think that's my answer. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the goal would be though to get away from having to draw a picture each time because it's not very time efficient. So let me see if I can get the same answer using our steps. So I'm going to set up my problem vertically. And then step 2 says I need to make common denominators. So one strategy is if the little one or the small one fits into the big one, that means the big one is going to be my denominator. So I'm going to leave this fraction alone. And this one I'm going to multiply by 4/4. The reason I chose 4/4 is because if I multiply something by 1, which 4/4 is equal to, I don't change its value. But if I multiply it by 4/4, look what happens to my denominator. 3 times 4 is 12, and 2 times 4 is 8. So look what I did here. My 2/3, I am showing what I did in my picture. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm showing what I did here, but I'm able to do it without the picture. So when I subtract now, I can say 13 subtract 8 pieces would leave me with 5 pieces, and my denominator stays the same. So I got my same answer, but I didn't have to worry about drawing my pictures. Okay, so my same answer without drawing my pictures. So I could say I left the 13 alone, and I changed my 2/3 to 8/12, and my answer was 5/12. Okay, let's look at another one of these. This is an addition problem. Now it says I have 13/16 and they want me to add 3/4. Okay, so what does this actually look like? Well, the 16 means I'm going to cut it into 16 pieces. So I'm going to start like that, and then I'll cut these. Okay, so I do have 16 pieces, and I'm going to color in 13 of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 are colored and 3 aren't. So there's my 16. And this time they want me to add 3/4. So they want me to add 3/4. Now the problem is, if I add 3/4, if I add 3 pieces, I really wouldn't know like how many pieces I was at, like how big the pieces are, because these 3 out of the 4 pieces are larger. So if I just told someone I had 13 pieces plus 3 more, I had 16 pieces, that doesn't really work because the pieces are different sizes. So the pieces are different sizes. So what I would need to do is I would need to cut these to be the same size. So originally, remember I cut this into 4 pieces and then I cut them smaller. So I could do the same with this. So notice how many I turned this into. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I cut this into 12 pieces, and now all the pieces are the same. Now all the pieces are the same. So now I have 13 pieces up here, and I have 12 down here. So I think my answer is going to be 25/12. And they're all the same size. Okay? Now that's definitely an improper fraction because my numerator is more than my denominator. What I could do with these pieces is, because there's 3 empty there, I could take these 3 away and put them up here. Kind of like at the end of a pizza party when you take the slices out of a whole bunch of boxes and you try to put them all in one. So what am I left with now? Now I have 1 whole. And now I have how many pieces? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's the same way, I just moved a few pieces. So let's see how I can do that mathematically without having to draw a picture. So I'm going to set up my fractions vertically. Oh, and I notice they have different denominators, so I can't do that. So I ask myself, can my small one fit into my big one perfectly? And it can. 4 fits into 16 4 times perfectly. So that means I'm going to use 16 as my denominator. So 16 is going to be my denominator. So how did 4 get to 16? What do I need to multiply it by? I need to multiply it by 4. So I'm going to multiply my whole fraction by 4/4, which is the same as 1, and it doesn't change it. So 4 times 4 is 16, 3 times 4 is 12. And if you remember, that's exactly what happened in my picture. I took the 3/4 and cut it into more pieces, and they were 12/16. So I made them have the same denominator. Now I'm going to add or subtract. So 13 plus 12 is 25/16. So the same thing I got over here. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how I did that. I'm so sorry. I'm catching my air. That should have been a 16. You've probably been wondering this whole time why I chose the wrong denominator. I'm sorry. So it should have been 16. So it's 25/16. Now, again, this is called a fraction greater than 1 or improper because the numerator is larger. But remember, I also could read this as 25 divided by 16. So I could do it like this and say 25 making groups of 16, I can make one group of 16. And one group of 16 would be 16. And when I subtract, I'm left with 9. And that becomes my numerator. And my denominator stayed the same. So my answer is 1 and 9/16. So up here I can say 13/16 plus 3/4 turned into 12/16. and I'm gonna write my answer here because it got squished, is this equal to 25/16 or 1 and 9/16? Those are equal. Okay, so again, ladies and gentlemen, the pictures are great, they're just not very time effective. Okay, so we're going to try our steps. Okay, so let's do some together. So here's our first problem. Okay, but before we get started, what are our steps? So we're gonna practice writing these all the time. So I might write them over here on the side. So step 1 is we wanna set up our problem vertically. Step 2 is we want common denominators. I'm gonna have to squish mine, sorry friends. Step 3 is we can add or subtract, whatever they ask us to. Step 4 is if it's improper, we wanna make it proper. So we want proper fractions or we want less than 1 fractions. So less than 1 fractions is our goal. So less than 1 fractions. And then if we can, we're going to simplify, which we're going to practice more of that over the next few weeks. So those are our steps. Okay, so let's get started on number 1. So we're going to skip the pictures and go straight to the math. So 7/6, and we're going to subtract 2/3. Okay, so I set it up vertically. I see my denominators are different. So the first thing I'm going to say is, can our small denominator fit into our large one? Yes. So that's going to be the denominator we're going to use. So we're going to change 2/3 to have a denominator of 6. So what do we need to multiply 3 by to get to 6? And hopefully you realized it's 2. But then we're going to multiply the whole fraction by 2/2 because that means we didn't change the value because 2/2 is the same as 1. So we're just changing it by multiplying it by 1, but we're not changing its value. So 2 times 2 is 4. So now we have 7/6 take away 4/6. So we're ready to subtract. So 7 take away 4 is 3/6. Now, step 4 says if we want less than 1 fractions. This is worth less than 1, so we're good. Step 5 says if we know how to simplify, let's simplify. I know that 3/6 is equal to 1/2. So those are our 2 answers. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, so 6/15 subtract 4/5. Okay, so let's set it up vertically. And then step 2 is let's look and we see that we don't have the same denominator. So that means our pieces are of different sizes. So can my small denominator fit into my large denominator? Yes, perfectly. So that is going to be our denominator we're going to use. So we're going to change 4/5 to have a denominator of 15. So what would we have to multiply 5 by to get to 15? Well, if we multiply it by 3, it will get to 15. So we're going to multiply our whole fraction by 3/3 because then we don't change the value. So 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, that does make sense because if I had 4/5, and this time I'm actually going to draw it for you, with you. So 4/5 means it was cut into 5 pieces, and the 4 means we had 4 of them. And if you don't have crayons, you could do this with pencil with me. So that is what we had. And all I did was I multiplied it by 3. So I took each piece and I cut it into 3 pieces. So now we have total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 pieces total. And we only have how many of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's how that works. So we didn't change the value. We didn't change how much we had. We just made the pieces smaller. Okay, so now we're on step 3. We can add or subtract. So it says add. So we're going to say 6 plus 12 is 18. So remember, we only add numerators. And we have a total of 15 pieces. So this was only the 4/5, but if we added this one, we would have a total of 18 pieces out of 15. Well, I know that this is a fraction that's either called improper or greater than 1. So because it's greater than 1, we can make it a fraction that is less than 1 by making it a mixed number. So 18/15 is the same as 18 divided by 15. So if I divide that by 15, I get this. The 3 becomes my numerator. So 18/15 is the same as 1 and 3/15, because remember, my denominators stay the same. I'm going to probably rewrite that down here so I have a little bit more room. So both those answers are acceptable because they're both equal. Now, some of you might know this. 3/15 is also the same as 1 and 1/5. If you don't know that yet, that's okay, because all 3 of those answers are the equal or equivalent, and they're all correct. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tonight on your work, they're having you talk about the pictures, but you're just going to be ignoring the pictures. So you're just going to use some space down here to do it like we have been working on. So you're not worried about the area model, you're just working on the steps we've been practicing. Have a great night.